Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be replacing the thermal paste on this Dell laptop. I bought it from my mom and it seems to be running pretty hot. We're going to start off by removing all the screws from the back of the case. Two of the screws closest to the hinges won't come out because they're set screws, so they'll stay in the back of the case. And as always, whenever doing something like this, be on a non-conductive surface and make sure you're grounded. The easiest place to start is up here. And just work your way towards one side or the other. Popping the tabs as you go. And once we remove the screws, we're going to use this plastic guitar pick to get the case opened up. Once I get the guitar pick in there, I'm just going to work it back and forth to pop off the clips. It is a little easier if you have it on about a 45-degree angle so you can see what you're doing. And just like that, the back of the laptop is removed. You can fit a full-size SSD. It's just got that one of those little ones. Underneath here, it's going to be our CPU. First things first, though. We are going to unplug the motherboard. I'm just unplugging the battery from the motherboard. You can use the tweezers to do this. I'm just using my fingernails. Just like that. Now the battery's disconnected. Here's the inside of the cover. They do have a little dust cover there, but I'm gonna get rid of that. I'd rather have the inside than have this little dust protection. I'll open it up and clean it. Have no problem with that. It does look like these screws go through, so we're gonna start off here. I'm just gonna get rid of these two screws. You don't have to take the fan out. I realized it once I took it out. Since there's only two of those coming, I'll remember which ones they are. And then we're gonna take off these 4 screws here. I like to remove the screws in a crisscross pattern evenly so I don't put undue stress onto the CPU or bend up the cooler. Once you have the 4 screws off, it should lift right up. But the thermal paste might make it stick, so you might have to wiggle it back and forth a little bit. Oh, I didn't even have to take that off. Oh, it is hard. Oh, good thing I took that off. It is hard. I'm gonna get rid of this too, because yep. It'll conduct. Get rid of heat better. We're gonna clean these up. Put some MX4 on there and put it back together. 91% alcohol. I put the alcohol in a little spray bottle. It's just easier to use. Also, I'm just using a microfiber cloth here, but you could use Q-tips as well. There's pitting. Those dies are really small. I like to spread the thermal paste out. That way I'm sure I'm getting full contact with the cooler. And my rule with thermal paste is I would rather err on the side of having too much than not enough. And now we're putting the cooler back on. Just align it with the studs and press down and try not to move it around while you're on there. And then I like to get all 4 of the screws started, and then I walk them down in the crisscross pattern again, evenly as I can, until they're all the way tight. And you want to be very careful not to crisscross any threads because you're screwing directly into the PCB, and so you could cause a short if you damage it at all. When you're starting the screw, if you go to the left, if you turn it to the left until it drops into place, and then you start turning it to the right, you will align the screw without damaging the PCB. And now I'm just putting that fan back in. It just lines up on a stud and it has 2 screws. And then I'm gonna check, make sure none of the wires came unplugged from anywhere else. And then I'm gonna plug in the battery here last before I put on the cover. And now we're gonna put that back cover back on. I press down the clips first, and then I tighten those 2 screws that are set in there that didn't come out. I get them about 3/4 of the way down, and then I start all the rest of the screws, and then I begin tightening them in a crisscross pattern. I took the filter out. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you plan on cleaning this laptop on a regular basis like I do. On this particular job, the laptop was hitting 100 degrees Celsius, and after I did the thermal paste, it was hitting, I think, 88, so it dropped it significantly. But I think that's just because the thermal paste was completely dried out and rock hard. Well, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Take care and see you next time.